Spy is the only class that gets completely destroyed by being too slow. If only there was a way to practice your spy movement and prevent that from happening. Well, it turns out there is. There are nearly 40 training maps, ranging from comically easy to seemingly impossible, and while most of them are playable even as some slower classes, I want to talk about the most unique maps from the perspective of a spy player. For that, I played through every single one of these maps. Then, because I apparently hate free time, I learned the speedrun tech for most of them, just to see if some maps become more fun that way. After going through it, I have to say, these maps were definitely not created equally. Some maps really earn a title for how great or god-awful they are, and because I can, I have given them such titles, and those are the maps I will be covering here. The first map on the list is a map I would highly suggest you try as your first climb map for a few reasons. Climb Payload uses jumps from real payload maps, so you will probably recognize some, which makes the map very approachable and not intimidating. At the same time, it will work as a great learning experience, not only about movement, but also about map spots, because I am quite certain that you won't know all the climbs in the map. If you enjoy it as much as I did and want to run it for time, it provides a few things to learn on the speedrunning aspect of KZ. But honestly, it's not a very easy map to run if you're a beginner. One skip is simple: align loosely with a pole, crouch jump at the peak, and bunny hop onto a fence. The other skip though isn't so lenient. To do it, you need to perform a good bunny hop at an uncomfortable angle, and unless you're proficient with it, you'll either waste time mid-run or just keep resetting every 30 seconds, neither of which is too fun. Instead of bothering with Climb Payload, I would suggest trying the map I deem to be the best for starting out with KZ speedruns. KZ Height has everything you need as an introduction. It starts off with an optional teleporter skip, and I really like it, because even if you don't get it every time, you don't get punished for trying it, since your run timer gets reset on every fail. Then, the map offers plenty of ways to save small bits of time, which is exactly what movement practice is for. For the most part, you just get to skip some platforms or straighten your routing out. But because of all the different gems that it has, you really get to see what you struggle with the most and focus on it, which is made very simple thanks to built-in teleport triggers. You don't need to manually save and load after every fail. Instead, you can just focus on your movement and practice the map in sections. All in all, a great map. But if you heard the words teleporter skip, and that's the only thing that interested you, I think you would love KZ Island. When playing KZ Island, you simply take an already short map and then skip most of it, because Island has extremely bad teleport triggers. If you want to set a good time on the map, you will be forced to exploit it. These skips are not that hard, it's all about how well you can optimize them. For example, some teleport triggers can be reached faster by simply uncrouching in the air to extend your hitbox slower. Other times you might want to mini jump towards them to get as little height but enough distance. The only real problem with this map is that it has a bit of RNG to its runs. Every time you do a teleporter skip, you can clip into the ground for a split second, which on a map this optimized can be run ruining. But ruining one short run in a generally fun map is not the end of the world. At least the map is fun enough to bother running for time. Unfortunately, not all maps are like that. There are a few maps so joyless that they are single-handedly responsible for people leaving climb servers and never coming back, and all of them do so for completely different reasons. KZ Colors is the biggest culprit of that by far. I don't have the heart to call it the worst map out there, but it has so many things that make it extremely unenjoyable when playing. First, it's just tediously long. The speedrun on it is over 15 minutes long. 15 minutes. The hardest climb map in the game was beaten 5. Then, the map has very confusing directions. Sure, it's color-coded and it has some lights to show direction, but after an hour on the map, it's not enough. Combined with the fact that it doesn't have many teleport triggers to put you back if you fell down in the wrong place, and I'm starting to see how someone can spend upwards of 6 hours there. Poor guy. Don't get me wrong, technically it's not a bad map, it's just most people are not going to enjoy completing it once, let alone running it for time. However, I still find more enjoyment in Colors than I did in KZ Work. KZ Work is visually the most appalling map out there, with jumps that are not that fun and no fun speedrunning strats whatsoever. Now, don't get me wrong, simply looking bad isn't what makes the map bad. Maps can look old or outdated and still be great fun to play. Take H2KB for example, a visually boring map, but it makes up for it by having some unique jumps and some fun running strats. The main idea of the map is showcasing climbs on weird map geometry, which is great, or it would be if I could see the shape of the props that I need to jump on. This issue could be solved by simply retexturing the map, but even then, the map would be a-okay at best. I would even say it's the worst map out there, since it fails to deliver even a sliver of fun or accomplishment upon beating it. Another one of the few maps I didn't bother learning beyond beating once is Tetris. The KZ community says that the map is way better in CS games. That's the case because in TF2 you have more movement speed, so most jumps become extremely simple, boring, and repetitive. Another problem with having more speed than intended though is the fact that now you can jump to places that you couldn't jump to before. Yes, it makes some skips possible, but since the map goes seemingly in loops, getting lost and beating the same part of the map twice is more likely than finding a skip. In my own run, I spent more than half the time just trying to figure out where to go. In its current state, I can't see anyone enjoying Tetris more than any other map, because it has nothing going for it other than maybe its visual style. But if you want a good visual style and a fun map layout, I would offer beating the next few maps instead. KZ Laza, for example, takes you climbing through a castle-like environment. Most of the jumps are not too hard, so even as someone new to KZ you can beat it given a bit of time. KZ Crash, on the other hand, doesn't feel like a climb map at all. Honestly, if I turned my view models off, I could believe that this isn't even TF2. Crash felt like something out of Half-Life, especially since the map uses some launch pads to send you flying across its course. On the speedrunning end of things, Crash is the only map, as of now, that uses a jump bug to skip a teleport trigger and save some time. Since the skip is at the start, it can be quite fun to try for. Combine it with all the jump pads and it's truly a unique experience. To be fair, a lot of maps use movement gimmicks, and some maps can be worth visiting even if you're not into the standard climb maps just because of those gimmicks. Some maps have platforms that you are forced to bunny hop off of. Well, sort of at least. You cannot really stand on them, so you will just get teleported if you stand still too long. Mostly it's just sections of such platforms, but KZ Bonus is made exclusively for this gimmick. Then there are maps that make use of launch pads, similar to what you saw in Crash. The most notable map with them is probably KZ Galaxy, since it has some decent skips that take advantage of this gimmick. Some maps also have strafing sections. They will force you into an airborne position just above ground and test how good you are at building strafing speed. Most of them can be beaten slowly, so don't worry, but there are instances where getting more speed and avoiding obstacles while doing so is mandatory. Gimmicks aside, there are some maps that are worth visiting just for how difficult they are, or for what tech they teach you. As a disclaimer, if you are not experienced with climbing tech, I would highly encourage joining the KZ Discord and asking for help or some explanations. The easiest of tech maps is KZ Mute God, which forces you to do crouch B hops for height, which is fun and not too hard to learn. Mute God also has a jump that requires strafing correctly next to a wall to get more crouched momentum, but that's about where its tech requirement ends. KZ Luzon, on the other hand, is my personal favorite. It's far more difficult and requires more knowledge of niche techniques. You go from needing long jumps to needing pixel climbs, wall strafes, and even half sideways pre-strafes. In fact, if you don't understand half the stuff I just said, I don't blame you. I had to look up and learn a lot of it just to beat the map. And of course, then there is Slyvan, the hardest climb map in TF2. It's the only map classified as tier 4, and boy oh boy does it require you to know your way around KZ. Some jumps are not too bad. They're just tighter strafes or some simple long jumps. Other times, you will start to question if you even know how to hold a mouse on the keyboard, as you fall off for the 500th time before even reaching the hard part of the jump. So, unless you have great confidence in your skills, or if you have actually good players assisting you like I did for the 4 hours that I spent there, I would suggest you steer clear of the map. The last maps are probably the most solid maps to play through all around. They don't require gimmicks to be worth playing and they're not too technical, aside from some long jumping or b-hopping maybe. These maps may not be that special in terms of rerunning for time, but since most people watching this don't intend to run for time, I don't think it really matters. My personal favorite of such maps was probably Nobea. I am a sucker for minimalistic visual design, and it just looks amazing. Combine it with relatively simple jumps and not being too short of a map, and it makes for a very fun time. In fairness, I had a lot of fun playing most maps, except Baxter. Baxter sucked and was broken when I played it. The point is, most maps can be fun in spite of their subpar design, and just because I didn't highlight a map here doesn't mean you won't enjoy it, it just didn't stand out that much. This started out as a tier list video idea, so everything I've shared is subjective, and I would encourage trying other maps for yourself to see what you think about them. If you do that, feel free to join my Discord server and tell me how wrong I was about some maps, but until then, thank you for watching and take care.